And now timeout taken again.
Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 2 of the final timeout. I'm here with John. Say hello.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. Episode 2. Let's run it. We got more juicy things to talk about.
A lot of stuff. We're going to begin here with the future number 1 overall pick in this upcoming draft. Unless something major happens, Trevor Lawrence had his pro day today a lot earlier than other pro days due to the fact that he's got an issue with his left shoulder, so he's getting surgery soon. They want him to be as healthy as possible for when that draft comes around. Neither me or John got to watch the full thing, but we both saw clips that the NFL posted, SportsCenter, ESPN had. I mean, he was throwing it like 65 yards, looked perfect. And I think he's going to be a good fit in Jacksonville, presuming that's where he ends up. So,
really anywhere. And Tim, I don't really think anyone needed to watch the pro day. If you've been watching college football and Clemson, which you can't watch college football without watching Clemson because they're in the college football playoff every year. I don't think there's anything else we needed to see. I mean, this guy was a 5-star, the top quarterback prospect coming into college a couple years ago, and he just confirmed that year after year after year. Now, there were some struggles, and some people say he regressed through his career. Not individually, the team, so just throw that out the door. Just 52 throws today for Trevor, and like Tim said, he held his pro day a month before Clemson, so he could have more time to recover and whatnot. And Urban Meyer was there. He watched it. I saw a couple clips on Twitter, and he just threw some darts, man. Just unbelievable. It didn't even look like he needed surgery, but, you know, like we talked about with Mahomes the other day, it's better just to get these things done so you can be as healthy as possible.
now both of us know that Lawrence isn't your average number 1 overall pick. Obviously, last year was Burrow, year before Baker Mayfield, but neither Burrow or Mayfield were those generational guys. Lawrence has been compared to the best prospect since Andrew Luck, since 2012. How do you feel about that?
I'd agree with it. It's just some years there's quarterbacks like Josh Rosen, you know, where they were good recruits, but they weren't anything crazy special, you know, in college, where Trevor's a generational guy. He's got the size. He showed the intellectual ability. He can make every single throw on the field. So, you know, taking this guy at number 1, it's kind of like Matthew Stafford back in 2009. It's a sure thing. He's going to be successful. Now, you know, you can't control things like, you know, getting blindsided in his first ever NFL game and then his career's derailed. But just on paper coming into the draft, you got to feel good about Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the first 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this draft class, it's really solid. And Trevor Lawrence is the headliner, of course.
Yeah. And then I guess we can kind of talk about some players that we're looking forward to their pro days. Obviously, no regular combine this year, and there was a lot of key players that are in this draft that opted out due to COVID. They wanted to work on their skills. Main one being Jamar Chase. Will he be the first wide receiver off the board? Will it be Smith? Will it be Waddle?
Sure. I mean, him opting out this year, he hasn't played in a while, so he got some great film from that national championship run with LSU. So I don't think people are too concerned. They just want to see, you know, how does he look in here as an athlete 1 year later? What kind of progress did he make over that season that he took off to train and whatnot? Devante Smith really doesn't need, like, you know, the 40 times don't really mean that much in the eyes of scouts. It's more of just, hey, this guy ran a blah, 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 and you put it on Twitter. Devante Smith doesn't really need to do anything else. I mean, the guy won the Biletnikoff. He won the Heisman. I mean, just off the charts. So, I don't know. Like, a lot of these guys don't really need pro days. You already know that they're going to be beastly. But you got to interview them. You got to get a sense of who they are. He's a high-character guy. I mean, every interview I saw with him, you know, he was sounding good. He said all the right things. And really, it felt genuine, too. But to go back to the pro days here, Clemson, only Trevor Lawrence today, and that was the only pro day this month. The next one, I'm looking at a Steelers article here with the list. Arkansas on March 10th is the next one. So,
yeah. I mean, first big school would be Oklahoma, who's the 12th of March. And then you got Auburn. You've got
North Dakota State. Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance. I mean, that'll be
big. He's a guy that could benefit from a good pro day. That's one to keep an eye out for. He played in the FCS. Obviously, Carson Wentz came out of that school. It's a premier program in the FCS, and the hype really built around him last year. He threw no interceptions as a freshman. He did in the school's only game, the one-game exhibition they did. He's a guy that could definitely benefit from a pro day. And all the mocks I've kind of read or heard about have him going like fourth of the quarterbacks, not fourth overall. And the Lions seem to be a likely destination. And as a Lions fan, I'm fine with that, I guess. Obviously in a rebuilding situation, but I'd like to see a little more of Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes to Detroit, probably would sit behind Goff, maybe a year. But I mean, if the Lions should take the quarterback of their future, I don't think Jared Goff's any type of that guy. So we can move on to a little bit of big news coming out of the NFL portion of this podcast. And it seems like all the big news in the NFL has been revolving around the Houston Texans. First,
Yep.
it was Hopkins last year. Now it's Watson wanting to like just be no part of that organization. I think it's going to burn to the ground at some point. And the first bombshell dropped today. J.J. Watt went in that front office and told them to release him. And I mean, J.J. Watt, you're going to do what he says most of the time. And
Right.
he's no longer a Texan. He's looking for the best team that suits him. People think Pittsburgh's a great destination. Pittsburgh doesn't have the cap. JJ would have to take a huge pay cut to go play with his brothers. That's the main reason he would go to Pittsburgh. But
Yeah.
I want to know where you think he could end up, or do you like him taking a pay cut in Pittsburgh and playing with his brothers?
For some reason, Tim, the first team that popped into my head was Tampa Bay. I really couldn't tell you why. The guy said he wants to win championships, and Tampa Bay just won one, and they've set themselves up for success in the future as well. So you can't really argue with that one. And I'm looking at an article, too, top 5 most likely destinations for Watt, CBS.com here. Pittsburgh was number 1. I don't think it was in any particular order. Tampa Bay was number 2. Dallas was 3. Green Bay 4. I was feeling Green Bay because he played at Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
He would work well there alongside Rashawn Gary. And then you got Baltimore at 5. But, I think Pittsburgh would be cool. You mentioned the family ties he has. And here's the thing with Watt and salary caps and championships. He's a guy you can add to your team if you're 1 or 2 pieces away from a ship. I mean, look at the Indianapolis Colts, for example. They needed a quarterback, right? And there's some other teams like Pittsburgh that might be 1 or 2 just beastly players away from winning a championship. So if he can go to somewhere to get that done, because that's what he wants, this guy has all the money he needs. I think if he's playing in Pittsburgh with his family and competing for a championship there, that's a good situation. But again, could also go to Tampa Bay. He just wants to win championships. So whatever situation allows him to make that money, make a run at a championship, and just have a bigger role on a team that's not rebuilding, that's a good situation for J.J. Watt.
Yeah, and I mean, even as a Colts fan, I'm a little biased here. And you were saying some teams are a piece or 2 away from a championship. We're the quarterback and we're the edge rusher away from competing with the Chiefs, competing with the Ravens, all that. J.J. Watt would be a humongous addition to what we have building. We're a young team. A veteran like him, we added Justin Houston a couple years ago. He brought on some veteran leadership, and J.J. Watt coming to Indy would be very big for us. So,
and Tim, I'm reading a book rather by this guy named Tom Billick, I think was his name, former coach of the Ravens back in the 2000s, and he kind of goes through this is basically how to run an NFL team, and he goes through the intricacies of free agent signings and rookie contracts and all these things, and the chance you got to take on free agents. Sometimes they're low character guys that are more flair but not enough production. J.J. Watt's a high-character guy. He's won Player of the Year, Man of the Year numerous times. He was loved in Houston, not on draft day, as he said in that farewell video. But what a guy. I mean, great character. The hurricane, the tornado, like any natural disasters, he was always taking part in it. But I'm kind of getting off topic here. What I'm trying to say is you're not taking a chance on this guy. He's going to come in. He's going to be an immediate impact. He's going to be a piece, and he's going to produce. He knows the deal. He knows he doesn't have that much time left in the league. So he wants to come in. He wants to get it done. He wants to take advantage of those good years that he knows he has left, and he's going to give you everything.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we know he's struggled with injuries in the past, missed at least 2 full seasons when you add up all those missed games due to injuries. So, and once again, I stressed this in the first episode. Tomorrow's not promised in the NFL. I think he wants that ring on his finger. He's got to go somewhere that's gonna win now. So whether that be Pittsburgh, the Rams, the Bucks, the Colts, the Packers. I think those are the top 5 teams for him, and I think they best suit him. So,
I'm really looking forward to see where he goes. I mean,
yeah.
every season I'm kind of more plugged into the coaching carousel in college football, but these free agent signings, J.J. Watt, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, like this has been electric already. So I've really been enjoying seeing where these guys are ending up and where they're going, and we'll see where J.J. Ends up.
Yeah, people have been comparing. It's not the offseason yet, but with Watson kind of demanding a trade and Watt like kind of forcing his release, and then Aaron Rodgers news, it's kind of turning into an NBA type offseason where players are starting to control where they go because they don't want. Back in the 90s in the NBA, you were stuck to a team for 10, 15 years, and if you sucked, you didn't have much say. But now players,
Right.
they want to go where they can win, and that's the most important part of any sport. So.
And at some point you like it because they're not just in it for the paycheck. Some guys are, but I like to see guys that want to win championships. And hey, it wasn't a situation where Watt was breaking some kind of rules or he was going to have to pay a ton of money to leave the Texans to go somewhere to win. He put in 10, 11 years there, and they didn't get the job done. He wants to find a new destination where he can go in and win right now. And look, it's a win-win for himself and the Texans, obviously in a rebuild here with a new coach. And I'm sure he was taking up a lot of their salary cap. So now, you can go into this draft. You can't get any capital for this because you didn't trade him. You released him. So that's kind of a bummer. But you still got Watson you can move around. So it's a win-win for both parties, I would say, in this situation.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't at least think of a trade. I don't know what the situation was with his contract, but he just gave
asked
up
for a release
for free. So
right, he asked for a release. So I guess that meant you can't trade him because he wants to control where he goes. So
yeah,
that makes sense. Because a trade would mean, hey, we're going to talk to these teams and these teams, which would still work if Watt told him which teams he was interested in playing for. Then maybe you got something there. But I don't know. I guess they just went the easier way out because the respect between Watt and the ownership there is just immense. It was all up and down this article here about him leaving. So I think that was the respectful move to make in terms of the Texans ownership. Because again, this guy has given you everything he's had for a decade. So, let him pick his next spot and let him go win a ship.
exactly. I think that's all we've got for today. Obviously, we're going to be following this big news. We're looking forward to the pro days coming up, and we're gonna keep producing these episodes, keep talking about the newest of news that comes out. We'll be on top of everything, and we'll be back either Sunday or early next week, depending on what kind of happens over this weekend. If something happens tonight, we might even make an episode and jump on it quick. So we'll be here.
Next thing, guys. Next thing, Tim and I were talking about this. Sorry to interrupt, Tim.
Yeah,
we're doing schedule previews for all the Power 5 college football conferences, one per episode, and that'll start next week. All right,
Yeah.
Or unless something pressing comes up, we'll cover some of that breaking news over the weekend. But next week, get ready for the schedule previews.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we look forward to the next episode. Peace.